Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tatva Bodho Bhidiyate. So far we have spoken about an introduction to the Vedas. What's the context of the Tattva Bodha text? We have said that Vedanta is two words, Veda and Anta, and that the Veda is the behind and beyond. That's the topic of the Veda, and the Veda is the source of this knowledge. And so this Tattva Bodha is the crux of this source of knowledge called Veda. And then we talked about the invocation. In other words, we are invoking the auspiciousness of the Lord so that this knowledge can take place to its maximum efficiency, to have maximum impact, so that we get the most out of this. So for this reason, when we invoke this invocation, then it is just for our own humility. Let's just drop all the barriers and let the knowledge take place. And then we have now next verse, which will slowly start to build up into the teaching. Okay, so second verse. How do I sound at the back? Because if I go louder, my voice is going to go flat. Yeah. Okay. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Adhikarinam Moksha Sadhana Bhutam Tatva Viveka Prakaram Vakshyamaha. Okay. Now this word at the bottom, Viveka, Tattva Viveka. Tattva means reality. And what is this word Viveka? You heard this word Viveka before. And what's the common association to Viveka? Discrimination? No. Discriminative inquiry. Do not use discrimination. We've got enough discrimination in the world. This word discrimination has a negative connotation. Discriminative inquiry, which implies what? It is an inquiry that entails, that requires discernment, discretion between one and the other. Discriminative inquiry equals Viveka. Do not use discrimination. It's not a well thought out word. Discriminative inquiry. So whenever we are performing Viveka in regards to reality, what are we performing? We're performing a discriminative inquiry. Where does inquiry happen? In your mind. Therefore, when inquiry is engaged, the mind is engaged. Now, this Viveka, this word, why do we need to impose, why do we need to apply a discriminative inquiry? Why? Because there is a confusion problem. What's the confusion problem? The confusion problem is I mix myself up with what I am not. Therefore, I don't know who I really am. Am I this? Am I that? Who am I? It's just like if we have we'll use a ruby. Do you know what a ruby is? Or maybe more cuter is a rose, a red rose. A red rose and a clear crystal. A red rose and a clear crystal. And we put the red rose behind the crystal. And now what happens with the crystal? Yeah, it seemingly took on the attributes of the redness. It seems to possess that which does not intrinsically belong to it. Now, do you need to remove the rose to know the crystal?
No.
Why not? Why not? Do you need to remove the rose to remove the crystal? Do you need to remove the rose to know the crystal?
To know the crystal?
To know the crystal being clear. Do you need to remove the rose? No. It's a cognitive understanding. The redness, despite this crystal taking on this redness, despite it seeming so, the redness actually belongs to something other than the crystal. Therefore, what kind of an understanding is this? It is a cognitive understanding. I need not remove anything other than to understand, despite I seeming to take on the attributes of the thought, of the emotion, intrinsically, these thoughts and emotions do not belong to myself. They belong to a different order of reality, which we will slowly explore. Because it is such that this I, which is as or like a crystal, pure crystal, there seems to be another reality. In fact, we experience this reality every moment, and this other reality, which we will name later on, owing to its quality of seemingly passing on onto yourself, it seems like now that I am not only my thoughts or this person called Andre, but I am also, this, whatever they call it, consciousness, right? We don't even know what the word consciousness is right now until we investigate this word in the book. So we need not use these words until the book mentions. I do not know what Ishvara is. I do not know what Brahman is. I do not know any of this until the book mentions it. This way we can slowly start to follow the program. Otherwise, there's a tendency to go ahead of the program because our experience likes to what? Superimpose itself, just like the red crystal, onto the present. And thereby we restrict or deny ourselves the ability to what? Understand it with fresh eyes, with a fresh mind. Therefore, just like the memory superimposes itself onto the present, this is the problem. And this also happens at a larger scale, not only memory, but also the person, the identity, the personality, the habits, the desires, the problems, the goodness, the issues, the opinions, all of this too superimposes itself onto self. Therefore, self has a confusion problem. And what is this Viveka for? It is to remove the confusion. And for this, how is it done so? By performing a discriminative inquiry. So therefore, just like you need not remove anything from anything else, because it's merely a cognitive understanding that the redness does not contaminate, does not pollute the crystal. In that same way, my thoughts, my life, my actions, my consequences do not intrinsically pollute my nature. You know this much, that's called crystal clear knowledge. Now, then it says the word adhikari. Adhikari. Who is an adhikari? What is this word adhikari? Okay. So Saranchatushte Sampana adhikari nam. Who is an adhikari? We're all adhikaris. Adhikari means, or are we adhikaris? I don't know. Let's find out. Adhikari means a deserving recipient. A deserving recipient of what? A deserving recipient of this knowledge. The question is, how do we know whether we are deserving recipients? And before answering that, look at this test. I'll do a little test with you, an experiment. Suppose right now I am holding this microphone and I say, please get up from your chair and take this microphone from my hand. Good. Now, what was the validity of this example? What was meant to be proven? When I asked the question, please get up, What was involved? What made some people, like So Kyung, grab this microphone, and some just look at me, What was the problem? What was the issue? What was the discerning factor between those who actually wanted to get up and those who just stood there? That is called free will, the power of choice. So, when action is involved, your free will counts. Your free will counts when there is a decision to be made, when there's an action to be made. You can either decide to sit there, or you can decide to take it from my hand, or even if you decide to get up, you can push people aside, you can jump over like a kangaroo, you can do whatever you wish, because action always is a matter of power of will, free will. Now, look at this. Open your eyes, please, and look at this elephant. Keep looking at this elephant. While looking at this elephant, do not see the elephant. Do not see the elephant, I tell you. You're in trouble if you see this elephant while looking at the elephant. Do not see the elephant. Question. How much free will did you have? Zero. No choice. Therefore, what's the point of this exercise? What are you meant to demonstrate here? When it's a matter of knowledge taking place, assuming your eyes, which is called a pramana, assuming your eyes are open, seeing an object, you have no choice but to see the object. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. Same thing with the sound. If I hear the motorcycle, I cannot now tell, no, I choose not to hear. The motorcycle will be heard. So what does this mean? When there is the capacity to knowledge to take place through a certain means, then you have no power whether this knowledge takes place or not. It does take place, just like you had no power to not see the elephant. But now, look at this. When it comes to an adhikari, which means a deserving recipient, the one who, by listening to this knowledge, comes to ascertain the truth like that without any problems, for them, the ears are working, the eyes are working, self is there. Are you here? Are you here? Yeah? Yeah, you're here, right? Ah, good. The teacher is here. The knowledge is here. The ears are working. Everything is here. So technically, if we go through this book, there should be no problem. Because you're here, the teaching is here, the teacher is here, your mind is here. So technically, by going through this, we have no choice but knowledge to take place, for moksha to take place. However, the question is, why does it not take place? Why some people listen to Vedanta for 5-10 years and they still, are asking basic questions with all due respect. Why is this so? Because it is a question of readiness. Readiness. Is this mind, which is sincere, does it have the right capacity? Is it truly ready? Readiness. Am I ready to get married? Am I ready to have children? Am I ready to buy a new house? It's a matter of readiness. Am I ready for moksha to take place? Am I ready to have total faith, total trust in this knowledge, whereby it has no choice but to take place? Am I really ready for moksha? That's the question being asked. Readiness. The question is, what determines readiness? Yeah. We have an adhikari, a qualified, deserving recipient. What determines this recipient, whereby, by listening to this, knowledge instantly takes place? And this is what we call, in the verse, sadhana chatushtaya. Sadhana chatushtaya, which is fourfold readiness. Fourfold ticks. We don't want to use the word qualification. I know you heard this word before. Fourfold ticks. Tick, 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 tick. Now, not everyone is going to have all 4 ticks. In fact, there's not one person on earth that is going to have 100% of the ticks, because sometimes the ticks don't go all the way up. They stop halfway. So one tick goes halfway, one tick goes sort of 20%, another tick goes 10%. So not everyone is going to have all ticks. So we need not have all ticks, but we need enough ticks, enough readiness in order for what? Knowledge to take place. So now you're asking, okay, what are these ticks? You know, let's find out, because we really want to see. If I hear this book without these ticks being ticked, then what happens? We have wasted our time. So now the question is, what happens if you listen to this and the knowledge doesn't take place? The answer is very simple. The adhikari, right, the deserving recipient, needs to go back and get more ticks complete. Get more ticks, because their mind is not ready. So we have to honor, is this mind truly ready? Is this mind qualified?
Sorry, I'm not getting 6 or ticks. I don't understand the words.
6?
Oh,
Okay.
Nike.
oh, thinking.
Okay. So I think we get the point now with sadhana chatushtaya, 4 ticks for the adhikari. Now,
But you
Not-
could also have half ticks, no?
yeah, you have half. Now, you know, so I'll give you, yeah, good. Now, I'll give you another example. You know, you get the point so far. So you have, right, the surgeon. Suppose someone has cancer. I knew a friend, a student, who had brain tumor, and he was afraid to go to the surgeon, because he was afraid that the complications are vast, he may die. So the surgeon was there, the fellow was there, the hospital was there, the knowledge of the doctors was there, the car to take him to the hospital was there, the hospital was there, everything was there, the support was there. But what happened? He was not ready. Readiness is the question. Therefore, when we go through the readiness, we have to honor and ask, am I really ready for this knowledge? This is a serious question, because we assume we are so sort of, experienced. I am qualified. It's not, don't assume, it's no matter of assuming. Let's just go through this and find out. Now, question. What determines readiness? What determines readiness? Okay, so yeah, we need to be ready. But what determines readiness? The word sampanna says, what determines readiness? The subject matter. Now look at this. This is a little experiment. Suppose that a fella wants to be engaged, or wants to go to a calculus class, a calculus university, okay? And he or she sits down at an interview, and they say, what kind of qualification, what kind of readiness do you have? And what does the fella say? They say, I've got love, I've got compassion. And what's this? Now, what does the interviewer say? That's wonderful. We wish everyone had that in our class. But what else do you have? This is a calculus class, by the way. What else do you have? Hold on, let me see. I go inside my heart. I'm really in touch with my emotions. Okay, this is wonderful. It's a healthy attribute. We're not discarding it. But to go to calculus, unfortunately, that is not enough. You need what? You need a certain skill and a certain skill set to go to to calculus. Now look at this. Love, right? Love is supposed to be what? The highest, at least relatively, supposed to be the highest. And yet that is still not enough to what? Gain entry to a certain class. So now, what does this mean, right? You may have experience, one may have experience, but does one really have the right entry points for Vedanta to truly take hold? So this is Sampanna, who is truly who is truly ready for this. Okay, so therefore we need to understand this one thing. Vedanta, 2 words, remember? Vedanta is a growing clarity. There's no question of instant. Tell me one thing in life that is instant. One moment, next day, everything's okay. That's not how real world works. So Vedanta is a thought by thought, little by little, removing the notions which prevent me from knowing the truth. It's a growing clarity. This we have to keep in mind. So an adhikari has patience, growing clarity day by day. Experiences come. Some of them teach us, we sometimes fall down and then we have to get up and then we have to have some feedback. What did I learn from this? Incorporate that into our thinking in the light of the knowledge. And then again, we go out and then someone hurts us and we say, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And then again, we get hurt. And then again, we have to reflect, what does this mean for me? And then like this, back and forth, little by little by little. So this means it's not a matter of, I got it and, I don't need to listen. It's not a matter of that. As I said, this knowledge goes until last breath. That is true wisdom, until last breath. Okay? So now, what else is this, Viveka? It's using your discriminative inquiry. For example, how many times have you heard the term intellectual knowledge? You know how many times I get in a class, hey, this is intellectual. You're speaking, and this is all intellectual knowledge. It's unbelievable. Like every single time someone will say, this is intellectual knowledge. So now I challenge that and I say to them, hey, what kind of other knowledge is there? All knowledge is intellectual. What other knowledge do you have? Dental knowledge? All knowledge is intellectual. So where's the point? Why do you say intellectual knowledge? It's a useless word. You're just adding extra words and making it more complex. Of course it's intellectual. All knowledge is intellectual. Whether it's Vedantic or how to cook, it's also intellectual. Or they say what? Have a great mental attitude. Hey, all attitude is mental. So in other words, what one has some discretion not to insert these extra words which are just unnecessary. So Viveka is even having what? Discriminative inquiry, how you speak. Am I using unnecessary words? And can I shorten down the amount of words which I can communicate something? This is an art, it's a practice. So this is all Viveka. And so now, in Vedanta, out of all qualifications, there's only 2. First is what? Viveka, which is what? Questioning, just questioning, being a curious person. Being a curious person, like a child. Why, when, how, who, which. Just asking question, being curious about your reality, just being curious about how things are, just asking. And the second is life experience. This is what builds emotional maturity. This is what builds resilience, life experience. There has to be some life experience of falling down and getting up and learning humility. This is, I honor out of all qualities, humility. That means absence of pride. What is pride? Pride is where, a person, a fella, will put up this show. I'm experienced. I'm experienced. What do you know? Who are you? You're a young fella. I've gotten this so many times that it hurts a lot. And I always kind of feel, oh my God, not again. Not one of these again. These usually an older fella, they're 60, 70, and they look at me and they, look at me like nothing, And so this is very unfortunate. But what I honor most is just humility, just down to earth, you're with the person. No one's smarter, no one is less smart. It's just a matter of learning, just a constant, never-ending learning. This is humility. They often say, what's the difference between confidence and humility? And how do you put them together? Because sometimes we mix them together. Confidence is just believing in yourself. I have strengths. I'm a person with experience. I know hurt. I know shame. I know embarrassment. I know what it's like to fall down and get up. I've gone through this. I believe in myself that I can, take another hit. I can, make more mistakes. Believing in yourself. They say, I like to watch, what do they call it? American Idol? American Idol. Such a great show, right? These people come on the stage and they exude this power. And my God, the audience responds so well. And then you ask, well, what is it that makes the audience just get up like this? They like this person. And every time I tell you, this person, they believe in themselves. They almost suck the audience into their world. This is confidence, just believing in yourself. And this too is a skill, Now, what is humility? Humility is amidst your confidence, you're always open to learning further. Never using confidence as what some sort of, I know it and I'm best at this. Humility is amidst this confidence, I'm still a learner who has much to discover here, much more to discover. So confidence and humility amongst Viveka and life experience. Okay. So now let's look at the verse. How do I sound at the back? Okay, I cannot go louder than this. Okay. So sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarinam. Actually, hold on. We'll go like this. Okay. So vakshyamaha. In Sanskrit, just go to the last word and it will tell you a lot. Vakshyamaha means we will now expound, we will now explain. So just go to the last word, you'll get the verb. So vakshyamaha, what shall we explain? We shall explain tatva viveka prakaram. We shall explain this what? What is tatva viveka? Discerning, a discriminative inquiry related to tattva, which is reality. So we shall now explain this discernment, this discriminative inquiry of what is reality, and what will this discernment give? So prakaram is a method. Okay, prakaram. So we shall now expound the method. So we're actually going into the method for what? For called tatva viveka. What is tatva viveka? Discerning reality, discriminative inquiry. And what will this method give? What will this method enable us to do? Moksha sadhanam bhutam. It will what? It will liberate oneself. It will liberate oneself. So now, who is ready to apply tatva viveka prakaram? Who is ready to apply this method, which is tatva viveka? Adhikari. And what is an adhikari? What is adhikari? Adhikari?
Person who's ready.
Huh?
A person who's ready.
A person who's ready. Lovely. Okay. Adhikari. And so now, who will succeed? For whom is this method for? An adhikari, one who is ready. And what are they sampanna? What are they endowed with? This adhikari, with sadhana chatushtaya, with fourfold readiness. Okay? So now you understand this? This is a very important verse. So look at the beautiful order here. This is not what they call a pseudo-spirituality, where they do what? Go straight into moksha sadhana. Let's talk about moksha. No. First, step one, you need to be what? Adhikari, who is endowed with fourfold tics. Only when I'm endowed with fourfold tics can I do what? Tatva viveka prakaram. Can I successfully what? can I apply this discriminative inquiry, and only then what comes, what ensues? Moksha. Look at this lovely order. This is the difference between this tradition, right, the Advaita Adi Shankara, Adi Advaita Vedanta, and versus, pseudo spirituality, partial, where it's what? Sit down, let's talk about moksha. This is a method, step by step. Any comments? Observations? Insights? Complaints? Okay. Next page. Okay. Sadhana chatushtayam kim. Sadhana chatushtayam kim. Nitya-Anitya vastu vivekaha. Nitya-Anitya vastu vivekaha. Iha mutra artha phala bhoga viragaha. Iha mutra artha phala bhoga viragaha. Shamadhi shatka sampattihi. Shamadhi shatka sampattihi. Mumukshutvam cha iti. Mumukshutvam cha iti. Okay. So let's look at Nitya, Anitya, Vivekaha. So now we know this word Vivekaha. So look at this. Instantly they show you what, in reference to what is this discriminative inquiry? In reference to Nitya and Anitya. So now let's start with Anitya. What is Anitya? So what? Anitya is that which does not obtain in the three periods of time. It means it has a beginning, it has a duration, and it has an ending. So what is Anitya? That which is undergoing modification, constant change in form, in tone, in volume, in quality. There's everything about it undergoes some form of progression, some form of change which was not the same just a moment ago. So this means, if I go like this, right? See, that was he had maybe too fast, but it had a beginning, it had a duration, and it had an end. That's Anitya. So what else is Anitya? Give me some examples of what it does not obtain in the three periods of time. Start with your body, please.
What is not Anitya?
Yeah. What?
So what is not Anitya?
Okay, so what is Anitya? What is Anitya? Give me examples of Anitya. Starting with your body. Give me 20 examples. Give me just examples of Anitya.
Hair?
Yeah?
Body. Hearing.
Yeah, go on.
Feelings.
Feelings? Yeah, everything. Even the word everything. Right? Everything gone. Yeah. Okay. So now, can you think, no matter how hard you try, right, eventually you're going to stop trying. So no matter what, even that whole process of trying was what? Just Anitya. Because Anitya is that which does not obtain in the three periods of time. It means it will, it was yesterday, now it's not, tomorrow it will be again. When tomorrow comes, it will be, then the next day it will not be, and the next day it will be different, and so on like this. So it goes through any form of change. Now, what else is Anitya? In reference to your understanding, Anitya means that it's limited, because by definition, something that is time-bound is limited. It's actually looking at it from the same viewpoint. Because if it lasts 5 minutes, then that means what? It's limited to 5 minutes. You know, whatever happened within that time frame, it will be limited to that what? Space. Because whatever is within time is by definition what? Also within what? Space. That means it's spatially limited. You understand this? Because, you know, you say, okay, so this flower is, you know, passing from here to there. You know, why? So there's a time duration, but at the same time, this flower, you know, it was within space. So now you even think of anything that does not enjoy the limitation of time and space. Can you think of anything that does not have a limitation of time and space? Even, you know, even your, you know, the 3 states, this waking state right now, you know, it's what, how long is it? A couple of hours, depends on who we are, right? And then the dream state, right, that's the duration of the time. And then the deep sleep, that's also limited by time. And then again, you know, there's another waking. So in other words, even the 3 states are what? Think about anitya, because they do not last forever, right? And not only that, but even within the state itself, right, it's just a bunch of anityams. Shake hands, you know, goodbye, hello, that's an nityam. And then go to, you know, take a rest. Rest was a nityam too. But never mind what happens within the state. The actual state and everything in the state, you just throw as a nityam. So even this right now that's happening, this waking state, never mind what is nityam. What is a nityam? Is this a nityam? Is my thought a nityam? No, just put all of that in the waking state. And then what? The waking state, the whole thing is what? Anityam. So you save yourself a lot of time instead of having to inquire about 10,000 different things within the waking state. So the waking state is anityam. It does not obtain within the 3 states, within 3 periods of time. The dream does not obtain within the 3 periods, nor does the deep sleep obtain within the 3 periods. Therefore, every single waking state, every single dream, every single deep sleep, every single state you've ever experienced was what? Anityam. From the beginning of being born all the way to death is all anityam. So now what? We worry, who am I, who am I, who am I, you know, who am I? Even the word who am I, even that question began, had a duration, and it will end. And that occurred within the waking state. So this means even the inquiry itself is what? Anityam. Okay? So now think about this. This is, you know, this is now what are we discerning this anityam against? What is this nityam? But before we get there, now, so what else is anityam? It's understanding that anything pursued, ultimately what we are looking for is what? Permanence. Whatever impermanent we ever pursue, ultimately behind that desire, when all is said and done and analyzed, what you're really seeking is permanence. No one wants, you know, temporary love, you know, temporary sort of, you know, honeymoon. We all want the honeymoon to last forever. We want love forever. We want to be sharp forever, right? We want to live forever. So no matter how you look at it, it's always what? We want this foreverness. We want foreverness. So this means what? One is already in touch with foreverness. One's already in touch with what? Nityam, eternal, that which obtains in 3 periods of time. I think I should produce Nityam. I think I should go through an experience and produce Nityam. You know what? I'll go into meditation. Now, okay, I've entered eternity. Okay, now I'll come back out of my nirvikalpa samadhi, which was eternity. Now I have a fella, a yogi fella. He also attained a nirvikalpa samadhi, except 5 minutes longer. My eternity was what? 5 minutes shorter than his eternity. Is this eternity? No, because it does not obtain at 3 periods of time. By definition, that which is eternal should be present when?
Always.
Now. Oh, but no. That's true for you, but that's not true for me. No. This means Nityam, that which is eternal, should by definition, logically, obtain all the time. It can never be unknown to you. If it's unknown, then it's what? Anityam, because it's not here right now. So what are we discerning? That which is what? Going through constant change, and that which is permanent, eternal, obtaining in the 3 periods of time. It is non-negatable. You cannot negate it no matter how hard you try. So this means Nityam is not a matter of producing, it's a matter of what? Discovering. And therefore we go back to the last session and we said, why do we need Viveka? Because the problem is confusion. Mixing up Nityam and Anityam, therefore I have no clue who I am. And so what? We then superimpose, we overlay what? Our Nityam onto Anityam body. Therefore we have cryogenics, putting the body, freezing the body, wanting to immortalize the body, wanting to make the body last forever. This is a problem of what? Of not knowing about this Nityam. Therefore, you take Nityam away, the whole show of problems begins. Because then now, I want to live forever, but I can't. I'm going to die. Now I have fear, I'm concerned, and I want to live my life to the fullest. And so what? I produce noise in the world to have fun, to live my life to the fullest. Ripping off Mother Earth of its precious resources, because every time you go to a plane to travel, technically you're taking some oil from the ground, from Mother Earth, just to supply you for that engine, right? So now think about the whole world of activity. It's what? Chasing after anityam. One anityam after another anityam after another anityam. But what am I seeking underneath all of that? Whether one asks these questions or not, what is one seeking? Nityam. But lack of knowledge of Nityam, you have no other choice but to what? Continue pursuing Anityams. Therefore, we have the world of commercialism, we have the world of constant chasing for pleasures, for discovery. Let's go to a discovery, let's discover something. Let's go into outer space and discover something. This is what? Lack of knowledge of Nityam. So you can see how instantly take away one single equation out, the whole thing, the life now takes on this confusion mode. And so what? We start to seek for everything other than the most important. In other words, what? How many, now this will come in the verse, very interesting, I will bring this forward now. Okay, so now Nityam, there's a verse in the Shastra, it says, Atma vit shokam tarati. So, when you put the word suffix vit or vit, it means a possessor. So Atma, so the one who, the self, right? The one who possesses knowledge of Atma. So vid is actually a root. So the one who has knowledge of Atma, shokam tarati, crosses over sorrow. How is this possible? Think about this. In the light of Nitya-Anitya, the one who knows Atma crosses over sorrow. How is sorrow produced? Chasing for what? Impermanence, because they go away, I miss them, now I want another one. Atma vit shokam tarati means the one who has knowledge of Atma crosses over sorrow. What does this imply? It means that what? Atma, which is I am, is what? Nityam. So the one who knows the truth of Atma, of self, crosses over this sorrow, which is a product of what? Chasing for anityams and not knowing about nityam. Okay? Atmavit shokam tarati. Now, and then it says Nitya-Anitya vastu vivekaha. So this is what we just analyzed. Therefore, what? Now we can summarize this. So in other words, what is this viveka between nityam and anityam? It is the simple recognition that behind all temporary experiences, what are you and I ultimately looking for? What are we ultimately, secretly looking for? We're looking for what is permanent, right? What is limitless. If I ask you right now, hey, I want to give you a choice. You got two choices. You can have limited happiness or limitless happiness. Choose. You can have 5 minutes, you can have this much happiness, or you can have, no bounds happiness. Which one would you choose? So think about it. How do you automatically select that which is limitless? How is this possible? No matter who you ask this question, it is there. So does that not imply that one is already in touch with their nature? Because if you were not in touch with that which is eternal, then by definition you would reject the answer. You would reject the question. You would say, I don't want limitless. I don't want to live forever. So this means what? You are that which you seek. You are that which you seek, which is the permanent, the eternal, the limitless. Otherwise, you would not relate to my words when I asked you the question, do you want limitless? Do you want eternal? Analysis. Okay? Now, so sadhana chatushtaya kim. So what is sadhana chatushtaya? What are these fourfold readiness ticks? The first one is having discriminative inquiry pertaining to nitya and anitya. Now it says vastu. What is this word vastu? Vastu means reality. So this means reality of nityam and reality of anityam. Now are these two different realities? No. They're not two different. They're one reality looked at from what? Two different standpoints. Okay, I feel that, are we okay? Are we still focused? Is it too hot in this room?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm too hot. So. Okay, I'm always paying attention. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so nitya. And this what? Anitya is what? What else is anitya? What? Religion? I mean, with all due respect to religion, is also anitya. It's telling you how to do good in the world. This is fine. This is very important. But also, it is more or less what? Anitya. It's not necessarily telling you about nityam. What else is anitya? Heaven? Is heaven anitya? So why do you want heaven now? Why do you want heaven? You're going to enjoy yourself for 2 million years, have great music, have great food, everything's going to be amplified, no doubt. But then what? Come back. In fact, look at it this way. Suppose that you were reborn infinite amount of times. Just suppose, hypothetically speaking. So this already means that one of us in this class was in heaven. Because you had infinite amount of choices to conduct your life. Suppose. So now let me ask you a question. How was heaven? How was it? Well, I wasn't in heaven. Yeah, probably not boring, but how was heaven? I don't remember. That's the point, because it's anityam. So now it has no value. So in other words, what? You've been in heaven probably 10,000 times, and we ask the question, how was heaven? Well, I wasn't in heaven. It's boring. So in other words, what's the point of chasing for better worlds? Even that is now what to be looked into. What about what else can we say for anitya? What else can we say for anitya here? I was in India a couple of months ago, and with my friends we went to a Krishna temple, and this lady, Russian lady, I don't know what she was, but a lady. She was enthusiastic, right? And she just approached myself and my friends, and she attacked us with, promoting, a certain kind of, come over, look us up online, look us up, and we couldn't say anything. We couldn't reply because there was so much, come join our institution, and now, so what is this? Even within Vedanta, within the Vedic culture, right? Even there you have sects which are what? Taking this knowledge and looking at it in the light of anityam, right? I want heaven. Go and sport with Krishna in Vaikuntha, sometime, and you will have a great time there. So now, so in other words, now imagine a sincere seeker, right? How much they have to plow through this marketplace, to plow through this anityam promotion, one anityam promotion after another, to come to the knowledge that finally says everything anityam that you have ever been seeking has gotten you nothing but one more body which you're experiencing right now. This means
exhausting.
So now this is now, what did I say? What is required? Life experience. This is called maturity. Coming to the point where you know there's just no point being reborn. I don't want another body. It's just no question of another body. It's not a question of next life finding the guru. This life is it. Period. It's a strong, affirmative, doubtless statement, so loud, so certain that nothing can stop you. You're going to go through all lengths to what? To get the vision. So this is an adhikari who has this, has this willpower to understand. So now, so what? Any form of security, right? Money and all this is required, but then taking that as into the ultimate end of life, that's where it becomes the problem. There's a book written by some fella. I don't mention names. I'm just going to say a book has been written. It says Amritam Bhava, or Bhava Amritam. Amritam means immortality. Bhava is experience. So the book is called Experience of Immortality. Great read, right? By a highly acclaimed author. Experience of Immortality. So now I asked, suppose you ask this fella, and how was this, what about now? Are you experiencing that now? No. So now how can you call it eternity? How can you call something that was within a very short scope of time eternity? So this is, cuckoo spirituality, Or another book has been written called Surefire Ways to Prosperity and God Realization. Surefire way to prosperity and God realization.
In 10 days.
Yeah, in 10 days. Oh my God. Now look at this. So what does this mean? Prosperity in the world is what? One thing that I do. God realization is another thing that I do. Children is another thing that I do. So what is God realization? Just another anityam. This is anityam. This is anityam. This is anityam. You see how much this knowledge, lack of understanding percolates through the culture, and then we get attacked with so many nonsensical notions that then we have to, resolve. So, I appreciate a lot as a teacher when a sensible individual comes over and, they're able to see through this nonsense. They're just able to see it through it. So this is maturity. Maturity is so important here. Okay. Iha amutra pala Bodha Viragaha. Okay. This word Viraga. You know the word already. Vairagyam. Vairagyam, probably heard. Now, Viraga and Vairagyam, they're the same words. Now, in Vedanta, we have two distinctions. The first distinction is Viraga, raga, and the second is Dvesha. I know you know this. I can tell on your faces. Now, what is raga? Just revision, right? Raga is whatever I am enthusiastic about, whatever I am enthusiastic. I have a longing for something that is raga. I have a strong, intense longing for something. That's raga. And dvesha is something that I have an aversion. It turns me off. I hate it. I cannot stand it. So now imagine, right, a fella who, comes into a certain class, and their notions, their dvesha, their strong dislikes are ruling, like, I don't like someone in this class. I don't like the teaching. I don't like this. Now look at this. There you have a teacher, the teaching, sensible students, and yet this one single notion, I don't like this, is sabotaging the entire experience. This is the power of raga dvesha. How it can just rule one's life, derail them. So one has to be very mindful where these raga dveshas are operating, to the point where they're actually denying you happiness. They're denying you growth. This is where we need to apply some mindfulness in our life. Okay. So now, when you put the prefix v, so it says v. So raga, now. If you put the prefix v, you just mean v means into pieces. That's a prefix, into pieces. So now, what does this mean? Your raga is into pieces. What does this mean? It's diffused. Yeah, it's not concrete. It's just, it has no power. It's into pieces. It's broken into pieces, which is why they say viraga. They use the word dispassion, but I take it literally. That means my intense longing is now into pieces. Why is it into pieces? Because of Viveka, pertaining to what? Iha amutra pala boga. In other words, I have absence of longing for what? Pala boga, of enjoyment for objects, iha, in this world. I have absence of longing for anitya objects in this world. Now careful, this is where the whole Vedanta goes pseudo. So this means what? I no longer want a relationship. I no longer want to do, to communicate, to socialize. And this is, instant cuckoo-ness. So look at this. Even there's a beautiful phrase that says, before enlightenment, chopping wood. After enlightenment, chopping wood. So now this is a profound statement, because what does it mean? Even if one understands the nature of who they are, being the whole, there is still what? There is a habitual value for chopping wood. If you don't chop wood, you go emotionally insane. If you don't sort of social, because that's your thing. So no one has the right to now say, no, you shouldn't socialize, you shouldn't chop wood, you shouldn't. Everything has a habitual value. So even after the knowledge takes place, the individual has the same habits, most likely, with the same intensity, with the same longing. So this means there's no need to feel guilty for going, oh, I understood who I am, but I'm still, looking for I want to dance and I want to play computer games and all of these things. You can still do that. It makes no difference because it has a habitual value. It keeps you sane. It gives you sanity. Can you disagree with this statement? Yeah. Suppose I say, no, you should abandon everything. Notice how there's a resistance the moment I say that. So this means you cannot fool a rational mind. You cannot fool the human heart, which is able to see through these pseudo statements. So therefore, even chopping wood, it seems like a pointless thing. So what? It's just anitya that I'm chopping. I'm chopping anitya. What difference is it making? It's not making any difference to myself, right? Why should I? Still chops wood like any other time. Yeah. So now, viraga, so absence of longing for pala boga, results of actions, right? Results of actions, because you have no control over, the results of your actions. I have no control whether you like me or not. You can hate me, you can like me. I really have no control. I can only do what? I can only do my part. That's it. That's where my level of control ends. I can do my part, and if someone, has a problem, not this, I really have no control over. So this means absence of longing for what? For palaboga. Absence of longing that the environment is aligned according to my shoulds and shouldn'ts. Shoulds and shouldn't nots. Shoulds and should nots. This is called shouldism. The environment should be like this. You should be looking at me like this. You should not be looking at me like this. You should be talking to me like this. You should not talk to me like this. You should act like this. You should come home earlier. You should come home at some different time. Constant shouldism, one after another. So now, when it says absence of longing for shouldism, what does this imply? It implies a certain maturity about the fact that you cannot really modify this world too much. You cannot really do much to modify it because everyone's got their own ways of being, right? So now, this means what? I have a certain level of relief. I no longer have a relief to control a situation, no longer have a need to want a situation to turn out my way. And this also means you're able to what? Accept with a certain composure when something doesn't go your way. Okay? So this is, again, maturity. We got 10 more minutes. Patience. Almost there. Okay, now we have Shamadi, Shatka Sampattihi. Now, Shamadi, this is, so what is this Shatka? This is 6. So 6-fold virtues starting with Shama. Now, what is Shama? You know, Shama is, you know what? Your mind is together. You know what does it mean when I say your mind is together? What does it mean to say your mind is together? Yeah. What's the opposite of togetherness? A mind is together. What's the opposite? Mind is all over the place. So this means what? Your body can be in the class, but your mind is not. So now, besides the philosophical investigation that the fact that the mind is different from the body, otherwise if it was not, then wherever the body is, that's where the mind is. That's besides the point. Mind that is together means what? Wherever my body is, I am present to that. And I do my best with all my power to be present to that, to stay alert, to stay awake. This is why we say sahana vavatu, sahana bhunaktu. Let me put my best forward. You know, when I listen to my teacher Nima, I never sit on the chair. This is just my personal style. I never sit on the chair. I sit right in front with my back erect. All day like this. My body wants to fall asleep. No, like this. Why? Because, you know, it gets the mind to be together with the situation. I'm not gonna, fall asleep. I'm not gonna, do these things. I'm gonna stay, whatever is necessary to stay awake. So this is, a together mind, a mind that is with the body, with the situation. Togetherness. And now, what's the implication of this? It means that, you're collected. You have a certain composure, a certain mental composure, and this comes through. See, we're not interested in telling you how, because you can Google that. How do I get mental composure? Go Google that. You got mantras, japa, you got this and that, meditation. That's not my interest. We're just bringing forward what is required, and you can now take that on your own and work with that. So now, so as he said, the mind is focused. It's not scattered. It is in one place. What else is Shamadi? This is Shama. It is just understanding that, ultimately you have two choices. One choice is pursuing infinite, limited choices. The other choice is pursuing one limitless choice. Which one do you want? To pursue infinite, limited choices or limited results, or one choice which gives you what? A limitless result, which does not exclude the infinite limited results. Which one do you want? See? So this is, a mind is together with this knowledge. It's together. I understood the question. So yeah, I can now pursue one after the other infinitely, or I can only have one choice and what? Gain limitless. So by definition, you have no choice. Think about it. By definition, you have no choice if you opt in for one choice that gives you limitless, because that's the only choice you got. Versus infinite choices if I choose limited anityams. So again, mind is together It's not scattered. So this means it's not looking for anitya, 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 anitya. It's here. It understands this, the knowledge, the value of the knowledge. Okay. What else is Shama? What else does it mean that the mind is together? It's basically, it's not pretending to be unaffected. I am not affected. I'm not affected. I am beyond this world. And no, there's not one being who doesn't experience the emotional pangs when someone does something unjust to you. There's not one being, liberated or not. So when the mind is together, it doesn't establish itself in some, park itself in some reality and sort of, say it's beyond and it's all anitya and it's all gonna pass. It doesn't make these statements. It addresses whatever is emotionally felt. It looks inside itself. It doesn't say, yeah, but who's the one that's this? Come on, seriously. No. So it looks at its, its relative person, its relative personality, and it sincerely addresses that. Despite knowing the knowledge, it addresses that. Otherwise, it's going to keep on coming back. It's going to be a hindrance, and life is just not going to be as enjoyable as it could. So therefore, Shama, a mind that is together, does not push things under the carpet and hope they leave at some point. It is brave enough to take things when it's triggered and to look at them in the moment and look at it from a different angle and just take some time to see, what can I look at this in a different way? Can I reframe the situation? What control do I have here? Can I have a different attitude? Or should I say mental attitude? No. Can I have a different attitude towards this? Okay? So it does get involved in its mind stuff. It's not afraid to attack or to look into its mind stuff. This is a mind that is, which has redefined the purpose of life. What kind of a mind has redefined the purpose of life? The one that has established or has come in contact with this knowledge. Because once you get this knowledge, then what? Your purpose of life slowly gets redefined. It's no longer many infinite anityams, it is only one nityam. Therefore, what happened now? Owing to knowledge, my purpose of life, the end of life, got redefined in the light of the knowledge. Comments, observations, insights? If any questions do pop up as they will, write them down, ask. We will have, satsang and last session we will have tomorrow, right? The official
9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 and then what? 2 sessions in the morning and then
2 sessions in the morning and 1 in the afternoon.
So the one in the afternoon will be the one where questions can come out. So maybe we'll reserve maybe 20 minutes, whatever, 10 minutes or 5 minutes to questions, and then we'll just continue the teaching. Yeah. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.